Welcome, everyone. I'm Margie Kay. I'm the CEO and president of the Unnext Network, and this is our Unnext Network special monthly presentation. I have a special guest with me today who is going to do a presentation on mysterious crop circles. Catherine Cogorno was born in St. Louis, but she lived in Peru for 19 years. She obtained a Bachelor of Science degree there, but after returning to St. Louis, she worked in international companies, retaining strong ties to Latin America. She's interested in all forms of spirituality, healing, and the arts. For 4 years, she served on the board of Gitana Productions, a nonprofit organization bringing people together through the arts. Currently, she is a hospice volunteer, a member of P. Yogananda's Worldwide Self-Realization Fellowship, and a Reiki practitioner. Welcome, Catherine.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Margie Kay, and I'm also welcoming our guests to this wonderful and exciting topic of crop circles, which I hope will be uplifting and joyful for you, as it has been for me. So before I go into the presentation, I wanted to show you how I got started in this subject. I first read Andy Thomas' book, Vital Signs. That was in 2004. And then I saw a film by the Norwegian Turgi Toftens. And towards the end of the film, someone asked a woman, well, what do you think they are? And she said, well, I think they're a gift to humanity. And at that moment, that statement really went to my heart, and I wanted to explore the subject further to bring it to the children in this country who, you know, it's hardly spoken about, the crop circle. So I developed this book for children to artistically explore them. I have like 50 original pictures in there with exercises, and also some different sections of information about them, the map where they've appeared, and so the children can learn about the subject as well. So I'm going to go right into the presentation now. It's kind of lengthy, but I'm going to go through it quickly. Hopefully we will have some questions that we can field at the end. So let's put my presentation on now. Okay, are we okay? You see it? We good?
Yes.
Margie? Okay.
Go ahead. Yes.
All right. Is it in the right place? Is it good enough?
It's fine. Yes.
Okay. So, are they love letters? Are they forms of communication, gifts, mirrors? We're going to explore in the presentation 3 parts: the facts about them, in other words, what appeals to our left brain, understanding and curiosity. Then we're going to go through hundreds of pictures of the formations in the last 4 years, and then go into what I call the insights, or the insights on their origin, their purpose, and interpretations of many of them that have been offered all over the world, mostly through the Crop Circle Connector site in England, which has amazing records of them every year. So don't blink, because you'll miss something. We're going to be going fast on this rabbit hole. Unless you're familiar with the crop circles, I think you're going to be amazed, and you might get hooked to them too. This is a sample of the centers. The center folds alone are amazing, and there's going to be so much variety. This presentation is going to really blow you away unless you've already seen a lot of this. So this is the basics here. So who do they appeal to? Where as you know, I've gone along this path, and I noticed artists come to me to talk about them: photographers, geometers, scientists, healers, philosophers. For those who don't have no idea how many people have appeared over the world, we have to make a distinction between those which have appeared and those which have been documented or reported. There's a huge difference. We can only share what has been reported, for sure, probably 10,000 by now in many countries, not just the UK, although the UK still accounts for about 3/4 of them, and 3/4 of those, or at least half, maybe in the Wiltshire province, which I'll show you on a map. Of course, some are man-made, many are not. There are a lot of biophysical characteristics that distinguish the hoaxes from the genuine ones, and we'll go into that a little in a few slides. And they're getting more and more complex over time, which you'll also observe. So there's really something going on here. And if you want to say it in simple terms, I just consider it an interdimensional phenomenon. So different types, they're not all circles. So now we have to talk about them like agriglyphs, okay? You know, images in the fields, they're not all circles. You will see that. Some of them appear in stages over time. Some of them have appeared after telepathic, you know, communications, or people asking for to see certain ones, certain symbols or shapes or whatever. A lot of them are astrological alignments. A lot of them talk about things that are happening currently in our time, which shows that the crop circle makers are in tune with what we are living. The graph above, okay, the green line is the total of the blue line, which is the UK. The red line is Canada and the US combined. And then the purple line is this is the most important one for me here, because it shows that over time, after 2000, they started appearing in a lot of other countries, not just or reported, you know. So when do they occur? Mostly at night, sometimes in plain sight. Some people have seen them go down in seconds, usually in the spring and the summer, and then they're harvested in the fall, taken down. In what kind of fields? All of those fields you can read above. It's just a very wide variety. Historically, you will find that it's believed that the first one that was documented was way back in 1678. You can read about it online. Then the South African elders say that these formations in the earth have been occurring for 4,000 years. This is a graph by Dr. Croft. Again, the violet bars are showing other countries. So over time, their participation is important. This is a chart I did myself because I wanted to actually list all the countries. You can see the most prominent, you know, presenters here are UK, Italy, Holland, France, Germany, the Czech Republic, and then all the others below, up to about 30 countries at some point have shown or reported crop circles. This graph comes basically from Andrea Mueller's numbers. So we're in the last 37 years. You can see, if you want to know, well, when did it peak? The ones reported peaked at about 330 crop circles in 1996. Then it still was high until 2000, and then it started to decline. Those reported, not those appearing again. We really don't know why. Okay, this is important here now. So we're going to understand what the difference is between the ones that have been mechanically trampled on with a board and ropes, for example, and the ones that exhibit different characteristics, which you can read here quickly. The most important one being the presence of elongated nodules or bent nodules in the crops appearing from one day to the next is extremely bizarre, okay? And that's what the scientists look for to make that distinction. We have electromagnetic fields have been measured. Sometimes equipment, you know, fails when you're in the crop circle. There have been a lot of spontaneous healings. You can just almost over time almost see the difference. Okay, then also very important, the presence of light columns or balls or spirals have found before, during, and after appearances, and they have also been recorded. Strange noises, animals reacting to them. Other abnormalities about the certain chemical content found in the circles. The compass isn't working well. The compass or the plant yields have actually increased from one year to another, and where the crop circles have appeared. Then there's the effect of the burnt-in image, noticed even 6 years after design has been removed. The silk-like image you're going to see in a lot of these is also quite spectacular. Then the healings and okay. So here's a picture you can see in the bottom left. You can see trampled on crops, very different than a bent nodule or exploded nodules from intense heat, quick and intense heat. It's apparently producing this in the plants. And also the seed heads, you know, inside may be totally flat and outside in a normal position. So there's also that, the lay of the crop and the intricate weavings you will see. Here's Linda Moulton Howe, a great journalist, writer, and researcher. This was in her book, but it's actually the work of Dr. William Levengood, who was one of the pioneers in analyzing these samples in the lab. We owe a lot to him. There again, the blown nodules, something that man cannot just do overnight. That's a red flag there. Okay, so why in Wiltshire, this southwest corner of England is a very sacred place. There's a very sacred triangle between, okay, Avebury, Stonehenge, and Glastonbury. And also St. Michael's, Archangel Michael's ley line passes right through it. So this is sacred land. And you can read tons about this, and everyone has their own opinion. So basically, I just want to tell you what I've learned. I don't want to sound like I know everything. I don't. I'm just sharing. And there's a lot of more out there, just books and lots of films. And it's just sad that in this country, people aren't noticing that much. Here examples, upper right is Avebury, and then left, as you know, Stonehenge in the bottom, and then Glastonbury, the sacred. And there's a little place called Silbury Hill, which is it's the largest man-made mound and oldest in Europe. And it's very important. A lot of crop circles appeared around Silbury Hill, which means I think it means the mound of the shining ones. So some people have said, okay, well, we know there are, the meridians or the ley lines, the planetary grid, the sacred temples around the ley lines. Yes, we know that. I thought this was interesting because here, harmoniousearth.org talks about the planetary chakras, which do change in time. They're not always the same. But when they got to the throat chakra, they said, well, currently Glastonbury is the location of our throat chakra, which has to do with communications. I thought that was very interesting if we consider, the crop circles are all about communication. So let's start watching them. I wanted to show you some close-ups of some spectacular ones because Slovenia, this one is actually in a marsh in Canada. This one from Sweden had 13 circles around it. Every circle around it had a different design in it. And this was a healing circle. The owner of this land gifted me this picture from my book. It was very interesting. And 13 is also a sacred number. Italy, I'm always excited to see the ones from Italy because they're always so delicate and fine, just like many things made in Italy. This one, I believe, is France. It's the Vesica Pisces, which is a very important geometrical figure about creation, the masculine and feminine, and the union, which appears over and over again in nature and in the crop circles. This is Germany, Czech Republic. They're always very intricate, different. Norway, amazing. Okay, this one caused a lot of excitement around the world. This was 409 circles. The whole, it's like 900 feet in diameter. So, can you see the lines, the tram lines running across the field that the tractors use? the distance between each of those is 100 feet. So you can figure the diameter of this crop circle is about 900 feet. What was interesting about this is that it appeared overnight, and the person who saw it was, I think, a professor from London who happened to be camping the night before. And he woke up to this, and it had been raining. And well, it's been called the galaxy. And this actual picture prompted Karen and Steve D'Alexander to actually publish their book after this, because it was time. So it's amazing, amazingly beautiful. And this is what it looks like inside. They said the people went and said that there was just no end to the circles. It was just unbelievable. And an engineer said, oh yeah, you could survey and do that, but it would take days just to survey. So there you go. This is for people who have a hard time believing that they're not man-made. This is one of my favorites. This appeared close to Stonehenge. It's a fractal. The repeated patterns also appeared within half an hour. There was a plane that was flying over, flying people from, from Stonehenge or across or whatever, very active. And the pilot there said this was not there when he first went across, and half an hour later it was there. So that was pretty, it's just gorgeous. And here, so you can have an idea of, I'm not sure why this isn't coming up, but at least you can get a glimpse of the size of this. Stonehenge is large, but this one also was like a 900 feet, the length of that whole spiral. Let's see if I can go back. There you go. You can see it upside down on it, whatever. One of my favorites. It's actually the first one I put in my book. Okay, this is another fractal that appeared in the same year. Oh, also spectacular. Just, it probably, I don't know, it's got to be about the galaxy, the movement of the galaxy or other galaxies spiraling outward. This one was not much visited because the farmer mowed it down, but one photographer was able to capture photos. It also very, very beautiful. The rose window. Janet Ossabard, a very important researcher. It's a close-up in the UK. Here's one called the Angel. Those little specks at the bottom are birds. They like to flock, animals like to flock into these special formations because the energy is very high. And this was a similar one, appeared in Belgium in 2003. So we have that phenomenon of like crossover. Sometimes the very same one or similar appears in other countries or different years. This one was interesting because some Japanese were in the UK visiting the circles, and they actually were wondering the night before, oh, wouldn't it be great if there was one that appeared like just for us or that we could relate to? And the next day the origami appeared, and you could see the people standing around in the lower right corner. Isn't that beautiful? Then we started seeing, of course, let's see, what's this will cap. Okay, the animals start showing up, the animals and their significance. The bottom right, of course, is a hummingbird, but people were saying this is an American bird. Why is it showing up in Europe? But, well, the hummingbird has a lot of symbology as well. This one is the image of the tree, but also the texture. I mean, it's just talk about three-dimensional and so forth. A lot of them have to be viewed three-dimensional or more. A lot of these are starting to show like magnetic fields, forces that we're supposed to interpret. The scientists are working on them. They gotten more complex over time. You'll see more. These are strange circles appearing in snow. Also, I don't believe they've been they figured out what happened here. This is an interesting one. What wouldn't be technically a crop circle because it appeared in desert area of Oregon, but it was 13 miles of lines. And this is the Yantra Mandala, which is the geometric version of the sacred Om sound of creation. So this reminds me of the lines of Nazca, which I actually was able to view when I lived in Peru. It's just amazing. There's something else going on. What is this doing in a remote area, which was only captured by the ranger. This is very beautiful, so different. Someone suggested, is it Jesus and the Shroud of Turin? We don't know. This one suggests some kind of ancient writing or maybe light language. Okay, so it's not all about the UK. Here we're going to see some from the US. The first one reported was 57 years ago in South Dakota. We do have an organization in the US called the Independent Crop Circle Research Association, and Jeffrey Wilson heads it. They do go out and research crop circles. This one's a beautiful one, appeared in Ohio in a soybean field, close to a sacred burial mound, sacred burial place, which is not uncommon for them to appear in sacred places or where there's a lot of electricity or water. Okay, something's missing here. There you go, some more from the US. This one was beautiful, out in nowhere. This one, I found out about this one because now they're sharing them on Facebook. This one is sevens all over, 7 rings, 7 arms, 7 circles per arm, 43 circles. The researchers only had 1 day to go out and measure, take samples and all. They got 28 volunteers from 7 states. This was in a cornfield, and they were observing the bent stems randomly from 2 inches to 4 feet above the ground throughout. Now, this must have been, if you were any average person trying to do this in a cornfield, it would have been really strange to do it, really hard, I mean. So people were wondering, well, what is this formation? And Jeffrey figured it out. He says it looks like a heptagonal hyperbolic planar tessellation. And we can research that. I don't know much about it, but curiously, others say it may be a depiction of the 7 arms of our galaxy. Okay, so that's the first section. Now we're going to go into part 2. We're going to see a bunch of formations starting this year back to 2018. Sorry. Okay, 2022. This is very recent. And we're going to look at an interpretation of this one at the end. This is just a few weeks ago. Look at the beautiful weaving arrangement in the middle of the top one. I mean, they're just exquisite. Okay, this one was interesting because in the ASCII computer code, it apparently is spelling love, but in the reverse. Why? How's that? Well, maybe because it's being projected from above, right? And like a mirror. So, but the word love does seem to be there. Okay, this one is unbelievable. This one appeared in 2 phases just a few weeks ago. And within a few days, the first one formed the first image on the left and then modified on the right. And actually Kelly Hampton, who's second wave Pleiadian, lives here in St. Louis. She took a group to Grassenberg and she was in this crop circle just a few weeks ago. I think it was July 23rd. She's gotten a lot of insight being in the circles. I'll share some of them in 2 particular ones. This is still this year, 2021. This is a heptagon. It's not very usual to find the heptagons. We usually see, the 6s and the 12s. This one apparently has to do with an eclipse, but also that the solar cross or the Venus represented by a cross appears a lot. And someone made the note that that cross is also been seen on the moon, on the face of the moon. So what happens is that crop circle connector site in the UK has, reports the crops that are, brought to them quickly, and then people can send in their comments or ideas of what they represent, and some of them are extremely insightful, and many of these are from that site. That someone said, oh my, this is a Viking sun wheel. I had never known about this. So it makes you think, this one's, if you want to observe it in a different angle, you can see how extraordinary it is. And now people are going out in drones, flying over them, bringing film, and easier to share. It used to be very costly to get in the little airplanes and take the pictures and all. Now it's become a little easier with drones. I don't know what happened here, but okay, we're still in 2021. France, Poland. Okay, sacred aveberry. Oh, this one was very cool. So the bottom right shows how now the farmers they'll either say no one's allowed in, or they'll say, okay, you can come in and make a donation. So people try to respect their wishes. Aveberry is a very, very sacred place, and it's the feminine counterpart of Stonehenge, considered to be the masculine energy. And so we have 16 rays out of each of the vortex. So this is considered by many a vortex. It's a portal, and we could, spend a lot of time just on this one. But also I want to show how this same type of formation appeared many years before. So it just goes on and on. This one, we're seeing the tetrahedron, the chariot, or the six-pointed star, the vehicle of light, is going to appear in a lot of crop circles. This one was kind of interesting. There's some side little images. I don't know about them, but someone noted that. So this symbol, the Merkaba, is an extremely spiritual and important geometric shape. Well, I guess we'll learn about it more when we learn how to use our Merkaba to go into other dimensions. And here's a showing of another one that appeared 3 years earlier on your right. So there again, there's just all of these images are transmitting something to you, an energy, the sacred geometry, whether you're in the crop circle or not. That's one of the positive values of just looking at them, observing them, and enjoying them. This one was quite spectacular. Someone's suggested that it means earth will come on earth, heaven on earth. The circles on the top represent earth, and then the I Ching on the bottom. And so it's kind of like a merged concept here, heaven on earth, which is not unusual. We've seen it many times. This one appeared a day before the previous one, and some people think it has to do with, the clock is ticking, or is it a pendulum? We're not sure. These are just suggestions. Here's another one. I wanted to show you this one because people are not only look at the shape of the formation, but they look at the landscape around it. So that's why I drew that red cross in there. Many times the formation is related to the surroundings. I'm sorry, squaring the circle is another concept that was actually resolved geometrically in the crop circles. Suzanne Taylor, in her film What on Earth, which I highly recommend, interviews people who realized many years ago that the crops circles are showing us how to square the circle, which means how to draw a circles with a circumference that's exactly as the square that's in it, as the perimeter of the square that's in it. It's not that easy to do. Someone suggested here, we're looking at a stargate. Poland. Staggered shapes, interesting. 2020. This is the virus, apparently, and spike protein, and we're going to see more of this later. Very interesting observations. We're in 2020. That molecule apparently is a super efficient rocket fuel. So we're starting to see also indications of molecules of certain substances we're supposed to pay attention to. This crop circle appeared around a walnut tree. Why a walnut tree? Dr. Croth went into investigating why, and that he came up with a really interesting conclusion, which I'll share later. It's still 2020. That cross, the Maltese Cross, appears a lot too. In 2019, a lot of them appeared in France. This was at the time where the Notre Dame was burnt. There's a theory of why most of the crop circles that year appeared in France and not in the UK. We'll talk about that. A lot of them look like a lot of crescent moons, a lot of portrayals of the divine feminine or the dancing mother, the baby. That top formation was, according to Kelly Hampton, she was in it in 2019. It was given to us by the Andromedans. France again. Interesting. Czech Republic. The crescent moons. This one on the left is at least 1,000 feet long. It's just pretty overwhelming. This one I put in here because I was interested in this message that someone put together when it was believed that this is actually a triangle of tears. And so the message that was brought by a psychic reads below: we have hope for you as a species. We bring alliance and friendship. Help us to interact with those who fear us. I am not the leader of my species, but I can speak on behalf of many star nations who surround your planet. And we know there are thousands of spaceships around our planet. Tell everyone that their heart should be open to all forms of life. We seek nothing more than peace. As a species, you will evolve many times into different physical forms. We will watch over you as a mother watches over her child. Seek the truth within your own hearts. Oh, so that's very touching. I'm sure you agree. And a few from 2018. I circled the image at the bottom left because several crop circles have appeared with what looks like a signature on the side. I don't know a lot about it, but that's interesting. This was a gift from the Pleiadians. Kelly Hampton was guided by Archangel Michael to take her group of, I believe, 9 women or 10 women who went on tour with her in that year. And they did energy work in there. I'll share that with you later. This one was in Quebec, Canada. Lights were seen in the field before the crop circle appeared. They compared the grains of from the inside and the outside, and there was a difference in the wheat maturity of 10 days. They actually didn't even want to reveal where this location was because they didn't want to interfere. So this one was reported to move on. Pretty cool. Even though it was simple, it's significant. There's Silbury Hill, the hill of the shining ones. There's a crop circle close by. Okay, we're going to go fast. These are other ones I just couldn't let go of because this one, of course, seems to be some kind of language to be deciphered. This one appeared in 2 phases. The bottom phase is more simple than up above. Seems to be an astronomical alignment. Look at how different and amazing these are. I mean, it's just, again, some kind of language. Is it light language? Is it a message? There was like prize offered for someone who could resolve the riddle, and the best known attempt was opono astos, which I think Latin means we oppose acts of craft and cunning, which is similar to the message that we got in a very important one in Chibalton that we'll see in a minute. Our watchers are trying to warn us, help us, protect us. Someone else believed that it had something to do with the Essene order, which, as you know, was the community Jesus was from, and our St. John the Baptist and the early Christians were Essenes. Now this one, you almost have to laugh at this one. What are those symbols? Well, someone posted on Facebook of mothership glass, the symbols that appeared in the crop circle, and the plant in the middle is a bay. A bay leaf. Well, anyway, I'm sure there's more to the symbols, but look at the artistry and the detail. Oh my God. Okay. The wheel of life, not to be confused with the swastika. It's a very ancient symbol. It was later misused. 3D formations. This is one that I was in England at the time, and 2015, and I missed this by a day. It appeared the day we were leaving. If I had stayed longer, I could have seen it, but it's still close to my heart, and it was beautiful. Look at the detail. This is also one of my favorites. Okay, here's a gentleman, Robert van den Broeck from the Netherlands, who many times would have dreams or see them in his mind's eye, and they would appear the next day. So he drew this the day before the one at the bottom appeared. He's a very gifted person who's been working with Nancy Talbot from BLT Research. She was the first one I contacted when I wanted to do my book. She's in the Boston area. She did a lot of research with Professor Lovingood. It's exquisite. I just threw that one up there because the left one reminded me of Nicholas Roerich, the mystic from Russia, who was also a painter and a philosopher, and he also formed an organization to save all the art from World War II, and that was this emblem, the banner of peace. This crop circle was a half a mile long. That's pretty amazing. They're very different, very beautiful. All of them are special in their way. This bottom left one appeared during the Olympics in the UK, and it kind of looked like the Olympic, I don't know, theater, whatever it's called, stadium. This one is apparently, again, the double Merkaba, the double tetrahedron, very special symbol, and which has appeared in Masaru Emoto's water crystals after people intend gratitude on them. So this is an overlay. Okay, this one is a masterpiece. this is like 6 phases to produce this. First of all, there was the squaring of the circle. Then there was the drawing of 144 circles around. No, before that, there was the 144 circles around there. Then there was a cutout of the part we're going to see. And then there was the removal of 792, well, parts. There were 1,296 squares, 792 flattened, and 504 remain. The thing is that this 5,040 is a creation key, is a key to creation. It's I think it was Plato who said that it has to do with our universal soul. So this is like a heaven. I can't even talk it. It gives me goosebumps. It's just breathtaking. And it was also mowed down quickly by the owner, unfortunately, but there's a whole article written about it. It's like 6 pages that you could access. If you want any information on any of these, write me at cat.cogorno@sbcglobal.net and I'll give it to you. Okay, here's another one where we see like the top right was the beginning of a crop circle, and then it extended further into a bigger one. So there's this is a very special one. Patty Greer had something to say about that one. Some more. The top one is in poppy field. The color red. Look at the detail. Okay, now we're going into the third and probably most important part, which is the insights about, like, I'm sure your minds are reeling one with a lot of questions. And so we're going to talk about all the things that I've encountered on my way during my research. And then I'd love to talk with you, discuss anything or answer any questions afterwards. So a lot of people, these are questions people have made. What are they? Interdimensional? Is it a form of communication, higher intelligence? Are they symbols? And so forth. We do know apparently that they've been put in, that they're coming to us to elevate our consciousness, and none of them have actually harmed us. So we know that they're beneficial to us. Now we're going to have 2 disclaimers here. This former Royal Air Force engineer said that MI5 paid people to fake crop circles to discredit UFO research, and the people who were out there in the beginning were discouraged going. They were almost harassed about getting out of them because the powers that be didn't want people to be noticing them or studying them. So we know that. This is another disclaimer. This gentleman said that he's made a lot of crop circles, but what happened after he started making them, he didn't expect paranormal things started happening, and they were like being inspired to do them. So it became almost like a collaboration. And so then, of course, I'm not going to say, and nobody should say they're all man-made or they're all not, not man-made. So we don't know the numbers on both sides, but we do have to look at this realistically. There have been a lot of them that have been man-made. But there's also this collaboration. There's an inspiration happening as well. It's like, what does it mean to you? What's the benefit for you? That's what we have to look at. Just take what's good, right? This is again the Vesica Pisces symbol. Who could say it better than Archangel Metatron? There are many sacred and beautiful places on earth and in the universe, but the most sacred of all resides in your own heart. So that's why I want to say what resonates with you. So people studying these have said, okay, in 2000, we started seeing 3D formations versus the earlier ones that were very simple and flat. And then we had 4D formations. Now we have 5D formations. Consciousness is a vehicle for information to flow. Actually, everything is, right? Like everything is energy. Matter is energy and energy is light. So everything is light, and light is communicates information. So it's all the same. It's just different media, right? The light circuits are light embedded and contain knowledge. So here are some pictures of some of the researchers. I want to especially note Janet Ossibard because she's done an amazing job with her series on the fall of the cabal. She's, and then of course, possibly the best photographer, Steve Alexander, and his wife, Karen, work as a team. Michael Glickman, I think has passed on now, but he knew that there were different races involved. He wrote books. He studied many of the crop circles. He's a very funny guy, and he said in Suzanne Taylor's film What on Earth, he said that more amazing than the crop circles was the fact that the world wasn't posting them, talking about them, showing them, you know, that it wasn't exposed, it was suppressed. So here we are trying to unsuppress them. The different types of energy, if you can read it up above, different kinds of energy because they're different in origin, the difference in purpose, they're not all the same. Barbara Lamb also wrote a book, Crop Circles, Revealed Language of Light Symbols. She can tell you she doesn't know how many of our galactic friends are involved in the crop circles, but she's regressed people more than 2,000 times and knows for sure that there are dozens of ET races, as you probably know. So Patty Greer did a lot of research. She has a lot of insight. She has a lot of films. She met with William Livingood, and they put out this statement because everybody wants to understand, right, how they're formed. So they said that there's a plasma vortex operating in the field like a tornado, but they're different kinds of energies and different kinds of frequencies. Okay, going on. Okay. Now, and some of these vortexes often travel in counter-rotating pairs to create crop circles, interacting with the planet Earth itself, rivers and currents. So there's a lot of things going on. And the nicest part of this whole page for me right here is what she says at the bottom, that one of the layers of frequency can be our own human consciousness. Then they talk also about the counter-rotating vortexes and the fact that much of what's there we can't see at first sight. If you rotate them, you're going to see more. It's just like the kaleidoscope, which was my favorite toy. Keep moving it, it's going to change. There's more and more and more. This is very important because Steve Alexander 20 years ago filmed the balls of light running across a field where a crop circle had appeared, but it was Patty Greer who thought of slowing down the footage, and she was able to capture a binary code between the balls of light, proving that there was a communication going. This was very cool and very important. Here she's in a crop circle, one of her favorite at the bottom, and she said after being in this crop circle, her vision was different and she started making films. And the one at the top, Michael Jaco loves this one, called The Doorway. That's near Long Barrel Burial Site, also a sacred site. I was actually there in 2015. It was very cool. So she says, okay, why are all the crop circles moving to France? She says, because the military was going to the UK events. So, well, the crop circle makers moved to France. And we do know that France, especially Southern France, has a very powerful divine feminine presence because the Essene community, Mother Mary, Mary Magdalene, Joseph of Arimathea migrated from the Holy Land to Southern France and then to Glastonbury. This is all sacred land 2,000 years ago. This one appeared in Poland, and she's figuring, well, what happened with the balance, masculine and balance? Maybe we're spitting out the masculine. Enough wars, guys. Enough patriarchal energy. There has to be a recalibration. This one was interesting. We're revisiting this when Patty had a vision of a crystal underwater castle, and it showed up the next day. And the one on the right, Sasha Stone, who's a celebrity in his own, was in this crop circle with some people who were actually free energy device designers. They happen to be in this formation. So talk about synchronicities, timing. Here more renderings from Patty, thanks to Patty. In amazing different things happening. This one apparently has to do about change, but not the end, and evolution. We're going through a lot of change, evolution, we know, of the mind, body, and soul. Dolores Cannon wrote in one of her books that the crop circle makers have a book of symbols, and their symbols are of peace, light, and love. They're attempting to communicate us, and they're formed for us to remember, because we've been here many, many times, and it's a form of communication we know at a soul level. She also said that an entire block of information can be conveyed to the conscious mind by the observation of a symbol in the circle. So if you feel like you're on overload after this presentation, you won't be alone. This is real. It is very powerful. Then the picture I threw in there, because I had a little space, was of me showing my crop circle book. Look at the huge orb up on my head. Something's happening. Okay, so Steve and Karen Alexander called their website temporary temples. Well, the crop circles are like temples. When you're where you're in them, your brain frequency drops, like when you're in a cathedral or in a meditation or in a temple. This is real. This is a good thing. Isabella Kingston, who was also interviewed on What on Earth, talks about the Watchers. And we know these are our friends. These are the Pleiadians and the Arcturians and the Hathors and the Syrians and the Andromedans and the Lyrans and so forth. The purpose of the crop circles is to charge the energy grid, which will enable the environment and humanity to overcome the present crisis. The new energy encoding coming to Earth, again, the Watchers. This one was a little bit of info. I was interviewed by Kelly Hampton, and she was asking me about crop circles. And then she asked me, well, have they appeared in all states? And I said, as far as I know, yes, except 3, which were Rhode Island, I can't remember, Mississippi, and Nevada, I think. And so because I was, dubious, she said, well, let's ask Archangel Michael. So he comes to talk to her, and he's a joker sometimes. He says, well, they've appeared in every state except the one of total perfection. And then he explains that this is an ongoing phenomenon, and that a lot of the crop circles appearing have not been reported, and that there will be more appearing, and that many, many more. And he's prompting us to use opportunity to question, teach, inform, share, to do it with love and kindness. And so he's appreciating the work of people like us who are paying attention and doing a little bit to share them. This was a simple statement. They're assisting us in our ascension process, which we know they are linked to the mystical journey of the soul. They for sure connect to our right brain. We know that. We know we have to balance our left brain with our right brain. The time we spend doing art and in meditation and so forth. And as above, so below, a very, very powerful statement, maybe the UFOs above and the crop circles below. This was given to me by a friend who was reading about Sister Thedra. She was told by Jesus that the crop circles were made by sound, kind of like the sound that levitates the stones. The sound we know is very, very powerful. Sound is light. Sound organizes matter. Someone else noted, okay, we believe that there are 3 things going on: the thought, the mental part, the purpose, intent, the electromagnetics and acoustics, sound again, and then light. For sound and light, for sure. There is a new code of understanding being transmitted, a blueprint of new energy coming to the earth. Here's Magenta Pixie. You may know about her. She's amazing. She's very sweet, and I love her messages. She's talking about our higher consciousness coming to communicate with our lower consciousness. And this was important. She said the energy is being from both above and from the ground. So there was, some people are saying, oh, it's from Mother Nature, and others are, no, it's from above. Well, how about it's both? Because Gaia's involved. We're all involved. But remember, several layers, frequencies, different frequencies. It's kind of like the mandalas that the Buddhists do on those huge mandalas on the floor. Not just one person does it. Many people do them together. Okay, this one was from a woman in Arizona, Ruth Payton. This was given to me at a time when I was wondering why they're so different. And a friend of mine sent me this message of her saying, there's not just one consciousness sending these designs, but many from sometimes all parts of the universe. And it's us to find the meaning. And for me, it's like classical music. You hear the Fifth Symphony of Beethoven, you're going to feel and think of something different every time. Where are you? Where's your consciousness? How is it interacting with you at the time? And that's the same thing with the crop circles. There's a lot of subjectivity in it. So that's let your inner awareness see the beauty, but there's also the warning of difficult times to come. And the crop circle makers are also showing us that they're with us. This one floored me. I love this, one of my favorite books, The Divine Blueprint by Robert Perala. He says that both ETs and angelic realms have a close relationship with Mother Earth, closer than we understand, and that the circles are messages from our future selves that have already passed through the fourth dimension and are currently in the fifth dimension. So there again, talking about, dimensions and time warps and living parallel lives and whatever, it gets complicated. Here's a young psychologist putting it in a different way. We are tuning our vibration to the coming earth. The unity has been lost and we need to recover it. So the UFOs above and below the crop circles are co-creative form of consciousness, and the human psyche is involved in them, mediating the holy wedding between spirit and matter. I thought that was a great way of putting it. Janosch in the Netherlands, after the 1987 harmonic conversion, started seeing these images in his mind's eye, and he didn't know that they were crop circles. He was a graphic designer and he started putting them down. And then later he started getting message from the Arcturians about what each energy was. And then he made these beautiful cards that you can buy and you can tune into them and use them for healing or whatever. Then someone gave me a set of cards by Cariel Quinley, who had an interesting experience when she was in Mount Shasta. She was taken on a ship with the Syrians, and the Syrians gave her also downloads about the crop circles and meanings or about a lot of them, and she made her cards also to help people. So we know they're a language of light. They're a tool for bridging heaven and earth and to help us transform our consciousness. These are some of her cards. Here's a cool one, Morse code for no more wars. Doesn't that sound right? Beautiful. This one appeared at the same time that the news was reporting a triangle formation in the skies between Saturn, Mars, and Spica, which I believe is a star in the constellation of Virgo. So it's like a story, right? They're presenting us something that's before it's in the news. They're showing it so that we know that they're in tune with us, that they're with us, that they're around, that they know, I guess, right? I'm just sharing what I think. This one, the dolphins started appearing at a time when the government was doing sonar experiments in the ocean, and they were starting to appear dead on the shores, and people were really upset. They started to appear. This one is a very interesting and special one that people were intrigued by. They studied it upside down, inside out so many times. couldn't figure out what it was. And recently I was online and I found an Arcturian ascended master saying that it was a formation from Andromeda, and that is apparently a sister galaxy of Earth. And all it was trying to say is that they were interacting with us, that there's an exchange between galaxies that we're not aware of. Well, we do know that human DNA has come from 22 different races or sources. So we're pretty much a blend of, different galactic beings over eons of time. Apparently that this is we're starting to understand these things. So anyway, this is about being in a collaboration. This one is a 5th dimensional crop circle and is been likened to the beautiful pattern Venus makes through her path in her path through the solar system. Okay, this one is the first one that was very different in shape and content, where it's not a circle and there's an image. What is this image? It appeared in the Gibraltar Radio Telescope area in England. In 1974, 27 years after we had sent out binary code in our search from extraterrestrial intelligence. Someone proposed that it might look like the image on the moon. The bottom image shows a portion of it that, if enlarged, I don't know how many times, shows an ET image. The interesting part is that 6 days after, this other image appeared, which is also pretty unbelievable, that looks exactly like, well, almost exactly like, which was a return letter by the signals we had put out in space, according to Andres Mueller, showing how they are or not like us. So they are saying our atomic numbers differ. We are silicon based. We have same formulas for sugars and bases, same number of nucleotides and DNAs, but our DNA is more complex. On one side, we have different body size, large head, small body, population differs, our solar system differs. Our sun is smaller than their sun is smaller than ours. They have 9 planets different size. So it's the beginning of a response to, like, our inquisitiveness. That was an important one. And then following year, this one appeared, and this one, okay, blew us away even further. Like, this one was especially intriguing, looked a little bit menacing, and someone figured out the message in there: beware the bearers of false gods and their broken promises, much pain, but still time. Believe there is good out there. We oppose deception. We oppose deception, which is what we had read in another crop circle, that we oppose cunning and so forth. This was the year we went to war with Iraq. All right. Right. All the lies that were told. There you go. Freddy Silva, a very important researcher. He's given so much to the world. He's an amazing guy. I just wrote this in for myself. Never plan on posting it, but here it goes. We build the temples in times that are critical, when we need to connect. So the crop circles are forms of temples. And so there you go. And also a little tidbit down at the bottom, which I didn't know. He said that science knows now that there are magnetic portals opening between Earth and Sun every 8 minutes. And that may be at the time when these exchanges are occurring, where our states of perception are changing, our levels of consciousness or of awareness are increasing. We know this for sure. I don't think anyone in this room feels the same as 5 years ago. Here's another extraordinary one that appeared in 3 phases within one week. It went from being 500 feet long to 1,300. And then again, that long tail seems to be communicating something about propulsion in space. Again, the Merkaba, sacred symbol. The eye, the unity consciousness eye appears a lot. Unity consciousness. Here's another one with the repeating motifs, repeating in different crops. This one was insignificant. Barbara Lamb had taken a group of people to the crop circles, and they were in meditation in 3 concentric rings, about 200 people. And then this one appeared a few miles away a while after their meditation. And you can't help but think that this was an acknowledgement of them working together. It was pretty striking synchronicity. Then here we more and more energy, clean energy type indicators, or they're trying to teach us or help us and inspire us. Then, of course, around 2011, 2012, a lot of circles depicting the Mayan calendar, or the end of the cycle, appeared. We were tuning into them. Beautiful formations. A lot of them have a lot of significance. We can't go into all of it, but I learned during my study here that the Egyptian god Thoth is believed to have been the same god Hermes in Greece, and possibly Sanat Kumara, the planetary logos who came from Venus and helped planet Earth so much. So all these, and also Quetzalcoatl, and they're all, it's this beautiful energy and sharing and help we're getting. So please do not feel like we're alone. There's a lot of feminine energy coming in, light, Mary, the fertility, and so forth. This one was extraordinary. Obviously, it's depicting the pie. It was the pie that was decoded by an astrophysicist, and with the decimal point and all. He said it was mind-boggling. And it had also rained that night. There was no mudslide. They said you can do it on a computer, but try to put that in the field in the middle of the night and achieve that degree of mathematical accuracy. The constant pi. This one interpretation was given to me by a friend, Sherry. She said she heard that it was from the Arcturians. It's too long to read, but basically she's saying that when you look at it, it's a way to help reconnect with our higher self, or our I am presence. The longer you look at it, if you observe it for 10 minutes, you would get 100% activation of the gift. Here's the Vesica Pisces, and obviously Mother Mary bearing the child Jesus. Notice the lighter shape in her womb. Now that's pretty extraordinary. Actually, my friend Marcia McMahon brought a message when she saw this to confirm what we were looking at. And by the way, England came from the word angel. So Marcia asked Mother Mary, what about the symbolism? Why are the crop circles being made, so forth? So Mother Mary said, they are made from collective energies of the Ra group and also the Galactic Federation, as they can form their collective consciousness into a vortex of energy that runs through the fields, and they are tuned to the sacred geometry of the universe. We will continue to visit this area with many more symbols to be deciphered, and we bless you this day and remind you of the need for the sacred masculine to balance the sacred feminine in every sacred and holy relationship, and to ground into the earth with frequent visits in nature. We all need to do this. Ground, get out there, walk without shoes on the ground on Mother Nature, honor Mother Nature. Take your kids, be with your kids in Mother Nature. It's really, really important. This is a turbulent time. Well, everyone needs to connect to their sacred heart and the heart of the Mother of the Earth. This crop circle was in a previous year, but it was also alluding perhaps to the divine feminine. This one appeared at the southernmost southwest tip of England, in Cornwall. There's some things that were said of that one as well. It's just beautiful. I don't think that something that ever appeared at that location. This one, of course, looks like a sunflower, but It was directed to Silbury Hill on the date of the summer solstice. So there's more to that. This is, of course, the tree of life. You can see the flower of life, and again, the sacred geometry throughout. This one looks like a radio tower with an eclipse, or is also with an eclipse, or is it a spaceship entering or leaving a wormhole? We don't know. Here's some other interpretations. The upper right image shows that it's going in the direction of that broadcast. Possibly it has something to do with broadcasting. My friend Eric offered some things he had heard or intuited when he saw this. He believes it could be an obelisk, which may be on Earth. There are many towers on Earth which are being used by spiritual people for broadcasting love and light into the world. Probably there's light language that we don't understand. It would be great to decipher someday. May also represent a ray of intelligent universal light being transmitted from the sun to the earth. But it goes both ways, right? Upward and downward. This is one looking like the Lion Gate portal appeared on July 22nd, but they believe it was in anticipation of the date of August 8th, which this one, okay, the swallows, here you can see one image, and then a day later, a fuller version of the swallows. And then, of course, the birds have appeared in many formations over the years. And I have a friend, Elsie Mala, who's a blessed, gifted, she's a saint, and she brings messages from all the ascended masters and all the time. And she brought a message from the bird tribe. And when she was talking, the bird tribe was speaking, the winged beings, and I was remembering the swallows. I have the complete message if anybody wants it. Okay, Julie Marie, another friend of mine, she could hear music when she walked by the crop circles. So I asked her to tell me what she was hearing or thinking or feeling or receiving. Rings of creation expanding, lattice work of light revolving around the central lotus flower. 12 gates now open. The 12 angels of creation stand, watching, dancing, rejoicing. The time has come. It is complete. Open now, open now. The sunburst of light expands, illuminating the entire field of creation. Then she brought another message about this one. The triple goddess returns. The 13 rays of divine feminine related to the 13 grandmothers of the earth. There's the tender seedlings are sprouting. Things are happening. We're opening up. The harvest time is near. This one she saw as a diamond. This one also has to do with energy fields that are moving. This has to be seen in a three-dimensional way. And then the interesting thing is the month after that one, this one appeared, which is related to the previous one. And it shows the mechanics of how this is occurring. They're saying, according to what she heard, it's time. There are two counter-rotating fields. One is coming up slow at a lower pitch, and the one coming down, the energy coming down is at a higher pitch. And so there's an opening being created, and the doorway, like a doorway, is being opened. And again, the Merkaba, the vehicle of light, a time for us to move into a higher dimension. This one was the one famous one again, that I'm trying to remember. I forgot the name of the place. Castle. I forgot. I'm sorry. A lady I was talking to on the phone was telling me about this crop circle she fell in love with, and she did this amazing art, this huge piece of art, and she didn't know anything about it. And I said, I know which one you're talking about, and I went and found this information and sent it to her. Here's some sharing by Plato. Apparently, the Earth is evolving from a 12-sided grid to a 20-sided grid. And this was depicted in a simple crop circle that didn't look very interesting at all. Okay, here is Kelly, the second wave Pleiadian. She's a channel and author, healer. And she took a group to Glastonbury and was led to this 7-pointed star that has to do with the 7 sisters of the Pleiadian star system. And she was told it was a key, and it holds frequencies to reconnect energetically. So they worked on helping erase world hunger and support the vibration of peace. That a National Geographic drone happened to be there on that day and took an aerial view, and it was this image was published by them later. So it also, they were told that the energy in this crop circle would help us integrate 5th to 13 dimensional healings. And they were also suggesting to trace our drawing around the sides of the crop circle, with the sides that you see in the previous image, to take in that energy, to tap into the tonal qualities, to experience all time and space. So it was a dimensional form. The next year, she went back and she was in this crop circle. They were told she was told it was from Andromeda, and they were doing work in it to stabilize the weather. And Archangel Michael told them which countries needed help with stabilization of the weather. And then interestingly, 2 years later, she did a virtual retreat of that trip to Glastonbury, and the Archangel Michael updated them on the countries then that needed help stabilizing the weather. So that was cool. And I just threw in that cloud formation there that Kelly brought from Glastonbury 2 weeks ago. It's hiding an Andromeda UFO, a spacecraft for you, an Andromedan spacecraft. How's that for cool? That's a free. Is this crop circle telling us about 13 dimensions? This crop circle was immediately associated with the virus, and the fact that 2 months later we had an offspring with this a mutation of the virus. So I learned about Dr. Jerry Croth, who had written a book, and he had figured out that the walnut tree, it was an indicator that it produces juglons, which block the cytokines, which are the ones that cause the immune system storms, as in COVID, and can lead to death. So was it a way of the crop circle makers to tell us to pay attention to what is in the walnut trees, the benefits of the walnut tree? The juglons are antiviral and anti-inflammatory. And the interesting thing is that this appeared weeks before scientists were even considering studying juglon's ability to block the deadly agents. So he's concluded that this was could not have been a man-made formation. Well, anyway, that was his book, Messages from the Gods, and a few more of his insights I'm sharing in a minute with you from his book as well. He started seeing these shapes which looked like molecules, and he started figuring them out. Now he was just a retired psychologist, so he's not even a scientist, but he apparently has this higher intuition and a studious nature to research fully. And he said, this might be telling us, watch your melatonin. We all have our melatonin disrupted. How many people suffering from vitamin A deficiency? 250,000 to 500,000 of children become blind every year. We didn't know that. Vitamin A, methane. This one crop circle appeared close to a field where the cattle is grazing. And it's methane. We know that methane is contributing to global warming. more than CO2. It's now they're talking about it. There's concern. They're asking us to pay attention. This one appeared at the time when an amateur astronomer found two stars that had merged. And it's a really big deal because it doesn't happen but every 10,000 years. And it apparently was shown in the crop circles. Maybe it's a theory, right? This one, so the one on the right, upper right, appeared in May of 29, and the one on the left in June. And are they related? They look like they are. But anyway, the interesting thing of this was that the crop circle appeared around a huge dew pond. And it looks weird. It looks like a mistake, right? But at that time, we started understanding that Jupiter is an exotic fluid. There's liquid metallic hydrogen. It's 25,000 mile deep of fluids. It's more fluid than we thought. And how synchronistic that the crop circle appears to show us something there. Anyway, that one was amazing. And this is a 6-dimensional crop circle. I mean, I couldn't figure it out, but here they're showing us how it's 6-dimensional. That was cool. This one is another interesting one, also by Dr. Croth. He's saying this was the time of the recession, and there was a missing triangle. And then the second crop circle, which I guess appeared a few years later in 2010, I guess, we overcame the recession. Things were restored. You know, the image of the center point, the gem, or the wealth, or whatever you want to call it, would be, you know, in line with financial wealth. But his favorite and most important, he said, is that we remember that we are going to survive all this, that we're going through suffering, but we will endure the planet, and we have our soul, which is eternal. So he goes, the scarab is very ancient and important symbol. So our spirituality is above all of the gross and the sadness and the suffering and confusion and anxiety we're going through now. Our soul is way above all of that. Here, the Maltese Cross appears a lot, and someone thought that it had to do with the end of the days, the end of times. Well, of course, not the end of the world, but the end of this cycle, and that this type of cross was also related to the Crusaders and the missionaries in the past, and the Sumerian solar disk. The crop circle actually appeared close to a war field, a cemetery where there had been a battleground. Is it trying to tell us no more war? This image was also similar image found on, there was this UFO that the NASA has actually, I think, reported, a huge one that flew beyond the sun. And is it related to this? The flower of happiness, good luck and hope in China, the upper flower of happiness, and then the Star of Egypt at the bottom. Again, Venus, the bright morning star, the eye of Taurus, the bull. Dimensional transposition. Here, again, the divine sacred symbols. This one was kind of cool. Someone said, what looks like there was a landing groove. Where would this image have come from? Let's just say we imagine a crop circle landed. It was coming from Stonehenge. So that one was interesting. The 8s are related to the stars. We have the 8s coming in 2020, the stars. This one, Jonas Passos, I think he's from Brazil. He posts a lot on the Crop Circle Connector site, and he feels that this one has to do about the matrix and letting us know, okay, time to get out of the matrix. Okay, and this, we're almost at the end now. This is the most very recent, like I think a week ago. Oh, I'm sorry, July 3rd. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm confused. Yes, it was in July. And so people are wondering, what does it mean? Does it mean two worlds will collide? Remember, Dolores Cannon talked about actually the world splitting, or they're merging into one. This is interesting because the landscape shows two roads colliding, merging into one. Nothing will divide us anymore. That's a good thought to hold. It also appeared at the time when the CERN particle accelerator resumed experiments, and there's a central wormhole depicted, but we know that their experiments didn't go well because they were thwarted from the dark intent they had. So that was good. So we're coming out of that. Is there metamorphosis occurring from two worlds joining? That's a good thing to think of as well. And that's it. This is Ann Taylor's film, What on Earth? I highly recommend, and Terji Topton's film. And then I have in writing, I could share with you at any time these sources, which I highly recommend to study more. And here's my book. And that's my email address at the bottom if you want to ask me or for any information, further information on anything that I talked about. So now I don't know the time. I don't do time. I'm sorry. I hope I'm okay and I'm ready to engage with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Catherine.
Stop.
If anybody has any questions, there is a chat and also a Q&A. If you would click on that Q&A at the bottom, then you can ask a question there. And then I'll either repeat that or if Catherine doesn't see it. But I do have a couple of questions for you, Catherine. I interviewed Robert Den Broeck and Nancy Talbot several years ago for my radio show. And then I also spoke with him privately. And there was something very unique that would occur with him that you mentioned, that he would see a vision of a crop circle and then they would go out and find it. And he had other experiences though, including seeing balls of light. He would get a message and it didn't matter what time of day or night it was, it'd be 2, 3 in the morning. He would see the vision of the crop circle and then go out and he would know where to go. And his friend, his roommate would drive him to the location. And then they would actually, in many cases, watch it being formed. And he would see balls of light forming things, but also he would take his camera and he got pictures of those things. He also got pictures of ETs standing right in front of them. Is there anybody else to your knowledge that anything like that has happened to them?
No, I don't know. I'm not in touch with everything that's going on now, but I do know that Nancy published a film of when she was there visiting him, and they actually saw from his home a shaft of light coming down at night. And then when they went there in the morning, they saw the crop circle, and she wanted to reproduce it as best as she could so people could understand that particular event. But yeah, some people say they go down in 6 to 30 seconds or whatever. I'm not surprised. I haven't been following Robert, but a lot of people feel the presence. There've been the orange lights. There've been a lot of abnormal occurrences when people have been in crop circles that the people are starting to maybe like show on Facebook. They don't know where to go, or in YouTube. They want to share their experiences. There's a lot out there. I'm not surprised what you're telling me about him. That's pretty cool. But, you know, for me personally, I don't really, it doesn't matter to me if I see them or not. If we're not seeing them, it's because we're not ready. The ones who see them, it's because they're ready to handle it. You know what I'm saying? We have a knowing, we believe we're inspired. I am grateful. Some of them move me to tears. The one that I called the masterpiece with that you actually put on next to my book, that it's like, it just moves me to tears. So hopefully as we open up and as we become less fearful, I'm sure more people will see them and report it. But what happened? The movie industry, they totally put fear into the whole crop circle thing. Mel Gibson did his film, I forgot what it was called. Again, it's all about, violence and takeover and fear. He did a terrible disservice to humanity. How many years is it going to take for people to realize that's a hoax? All right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I think they do.
No, but the children, some people, I have people telling me, oh, don't you know that there these guys make them with ropes? And Doug and David and Doug, who made some crop circles way back, I think they're dead. They never took a class in geometry, and they never did one in Wiltshire province, which is where most of them appeared, and never with that level of complexity like you've just seen. So the people don't want to go further because they're afraid, but you're not, and all my listeners aren't. So some people have manifested them, have asked for them to appear, and they've appeared, like that's been documented too. I mean, there's so much out there. I'm so sorry. I can only give you a little bit, which is all I know. Like all I know, I've crammed it in an hour and a half, but.
Well,
please.
You got quite a bit in there. In fact, too much to absorb in one sitting.
Yes,
for sure.
Yes,
I wonder what your opinion is, because I was surprised to see how many crop circles are in the United States. And we don't hear about it in the news or the newspapers. You never hear about that. Why do you think that is?
Everything that approaches the truth that people don't want to hear for whatever reasons is a conspiracy. So now everything's a conspiracy. You can't, I don't know what it's going to take for us to open up. I mean, I would like to take a simplified version of my presentation to schools or to like nursing homes, people who love to, learn or see or whatever. But I don't know what it's going to take. Nobody knows about the Independent Crop Circle Research Association in Ohio by Jeff Wilson. There's a Facebook page, but to get into the news, I don't know. I'm sure you have the same problem with UFOs.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I mean, please, can we need a big final, used to be called disclosure. Now it's called exposure. Can we just have it? We're not that dumb. And you know what? We're entitled to it. We're ready. This is ridiculous. I would love for the subject to be open up. But first we need to get past the fear. And the problem is they're telling us that they're not going to be very available to us until we are past the fear, which means we have to stop the wars. All this war crap is all about, fear and control. Until we get past that, people, so it's going to take more awakening. So they're saying the big year is going to be 2025. I think there's going to be a huge solar flash next year. I think it's going to awaken a lot of people because we're way behind schedule. And I really feel that after a lot of people awaken, it'll be a lot easier for us to talk about these subjects, without the fear. I mean, I've known from talking to people that a few crop circles have had a little bit of an ominous energy to them. Like, I don't want to go in there. But what about the majority, the overwhelming? That's when we learn to discriminate, right? We're not going to say they're all good and they're all perfect and they're all made by our galactic friends. But hey, it's worthwhile. Look at the joy. I am telling you, the reason why I couldn't talk at the end is because I'm overwhelmed myself with looking at them, and I've seen them a million times. I don't know. The guides say, grab one that you love, trace it, take it to bed with you, put it up. I put them up, share them, whatever, draw them, color them. That's what my book was about. I don't know, but You know, Margie Kate, maybe in 6 months from now, we'll be having a different conversation. Maybe we'll look back and say, remember we were worried, we're talking then, oh my God, things have changed, shifted.
That
The
would be
ener-
nice.
Energies are going up, people are waking up, you know. But I
You
want to thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to talk about them.
Well, absolutely. And thank you so much, Catherine. That was just fascinating. And I will, as usual, this has been recorded. So this will be posted within a week and other people can watch it. So thank you so much, Catherine.
Thank you. God bless you.
I will see you soon.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, everyone. See you next month.
Thank you. Thanks again.